Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, 18 March. I am your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US Counterterrorism chief, Joe Kent, has resigned over the Iran war. Iran has confirmed the death of a top security official. And Zelenskyy has said that Ukrainian teams are aiding Middle East countries against Iranian drones. So firstly, Joe Kent, the director of US National Counterterrorism Center, the NCTC, resigned from his post on Tuesday, citing President Donald Trump's decision to go to war with Iran as the reason. He said in a post on X that I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran, as Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that it was started due to pressure from Israel and powerful American lobbies. Kent, who is a 45-year-old Special Forces veteran with 20 years military service, troubling ties to right-wing extremists. Interesting. Said that it has been an honor serving under US President Donald Trump and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. So what? While it's unlikely it's going to change anything, this is the first big resignation within the MAGA crew, and it's not gone unnoticed. There's been significant chatter online around his resignation, particularly around what he said on his way out the door. People have been dragging up his old tweets to see how he's changed in his opinions and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely not gone unnoticed, and it's had a pretty significant effect within I especially think the MAGA crowd. And it's been pretty rough to see how quickly the Trump administration tried to discredit him, essentially saying that he was thought to be one of the people leaking information out of the Trump administration and trying to ruin his credibility on his way out the door. Kind of unsurprising, seeming as it's not being viewed very well that he quit and the way he quit and what he said on his way out the door. But it's pretty rough to see that's how they're going to treat him towards the end of his career. And next, Iran has confirmed the death of Ali Larijani, head of the Supreme National Security Council, after an Israeli strike. Israel earlier said that they killed him along with another man whose last name is Soleimani, who commanded the revolutionary Basra Guard. Tehran says that he and his son and several bodyguards died in an attack on Tuesday. The council praised his decades of service, calling him a righteous servant who achieved the grace of martyrdom. He had been seen as one of the most powerful figures in Iran since Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed on the first day of the war. So what? Iran's leadership has taken pretty significant losses so far, from the top down, but it remains somewhat effective. The security apparatus within Iran continues to function somewhat effectively, to the point where, protesters haven't come out in the streets to condemn the regime yet. And it's likely they designed their security forces to continue without any leadership, essentially making it more difficult to completely degrade them and make them ineffective. Clearly the ballistic missile and drone teams can operate without limited oversight from some kind of leadership who's giving them targets or direction in which to fire. And yeah, there's no real clear signs of the Iranian regime breaking yet. It's been a long time and there's been a significant amount of strikes against them and they still function. So it's now coming down to whether it's actually possible. No regime in history has ever been toppled through air power alone. So that trend's probably going to continue by the looks of it. It doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. And lastly, over 200 Ukrainian anti-drone military experts were in several Middle Eastern countries and helped defend against Iran's designed drones. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said these in an address to UK Parliament. He said these military experts who know how to defend against Shahed drones. Our teams are already in the Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and on their way to Kuwait. Zelenskyy earlier met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who told the Ukrainian leader that Russia cannot be allowed to benefit from the Iranian war. Yeah, sadly, they are going to benefit from the Iranian war. That is just the way it is. So yeah, despite Trump's claims that they're not needed in the Middle East, it's likely that the Middle Eastern countries will be very grateful and that they reached out personally. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain have taken significant damage due to the conflict in Iran, especially against both their reputation and their main moneymaker, which is energy. So yeah, I can imagine they are very keen to get drone experts in there to help them start to counter these type of drone attacks so they can defend their resources and their reputations effectively. And I think it could lead to a significant boost in the relationship between the two. Middle Eastern countries don't quickly forget who helped them in a time of crisis. And it could lead to Russia getting pushed out to a degree, especially from some of the places where they store lots of their money and lots of their high-ranking citizens, particularly in Dubai. Ukraine can boost this relationship to a significant level and may lead to the Emirates, trying to slowly force Russia out of the Emirates due to, just good ties with Ukraine. But also, the Emirates are very money-orientated people, so it's likely they'll keep Russia around to a degree purely on a financial basis. Also, it's likely to be financially beneficial to Ukraine, which will help in funding their war. I'm sure they're not doing this out of just for free and out of the goodness of their hearts. It's likely that the Middle Eastern countries are paying significant sums to Ukraine to have these drone experts come in and help them with anti-drone defenses. So this money can go directly into financing the war and could be spent to, buy weapons from the US, who have stopped giving weapons and are now only selling them. So there could be some significant advantages here for Ukraine. However, these are going to be counteracted by Russia also receiving significant money through oil sales, as they're one of the only countries now who can sell oil en masse. Anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow.